Hello! Today we are going to have a look at Castle Redmane from a level design and world design perspective. I'm starting here because even at this position it starts getting interesting. Let's have a look at Castle Redmane from the map first, because this is quite interesting. Castle Redmane is located on an island and is only accessible via possibly boat and via this bridge over here. This is the only way the player character can approach, and it should be easy to defend. The interesting part is that usually when the player character goes alongside the bridge, the trebuchets over there would start firing. They're currently not firing because I am invisible to them. So we can have a look at the bridge itself, because this is quite interesting. For some reason they've decided to not build any gates and towers on this bridge. I would argue this would have been a much better idea, like putting towers on the sides, at least on the beginning or at the end, and a gate so you can close it and you can shoot attackers that are coming from the mainland. The only problem really, let's just imagine we have a gate here and towers. The only problem that the castle would have faced then is starvation, because they can easily just besiege the bridge and no one can get out of the castle basically. So the only reason, maybe because they have something to lower or to go to a beach over here, maybe you could just put a dock over here or something where you can actually get some food via ship. So let's have a look at this part of the level here, because we have a lot of barricades. There was a battle here. I think because it's called Castle Redmane, this is Radane's castle, so Melania invaded, I guess. And they fought at this position over here. This is basically the epicenter, the swamp area, where Melania unleashed her Scarlet Rod. So that's why we have a lot of Redmane soldiers here, because this is, for me, Radane's castle. And it got besieged, and currently I think they're only defending the castle from the rod itself. Like from the big ass dinosaur dogs and birds that are here all around Caelid. But here we have an interesting thing. Of course we have some trebuchets or catapults basically. I think every trebuchet is a catapult, but not every catapult is a trebuchet. I think trebuchets are siege engines with a counterweight, right? Maybe I'm wrong, but that's what I think. But the interesting part is that we have a siege tower over here, which I don't know how they transport it. Usually they have wheels, so you can push them around. But for some reason they've built it here. Someone built the siege tower here. But the player character can't climb up. But so far it's quite good, right? We have tents here for some soldiers camping outside. So this is basically their first line of defense, or actually the second line. The first line of defense is right here, where they have a big-ass camp. But this is basically the first line of defense for this castle itself, on this island. Going up here we have a ballista. There's also a ballista on the siege tower over there, which we have a look at shortly. But this ballista is quite weak, because it likes to shoot their own troops if you're getting too close. We have a nice little ramp leading up to the castle itself, and when the player approaches, Usually you would land here, but I guess because of... No, but let's see. Because of this feature from Cheat Engine, the troll just died in the air. So usually there's a troll jumping down here, you don't have to fight him, you just have to leave this way. Because you can't enter the castle. And we have a staircase again. We have a nice little dirt ramp leading up the castle itself, but then we have a staircase, so you can't even carry stuff inside with animals. Like, you can't push up carts here, you have to manually carry up the goods inside the castle. So this is a bit bad, and the gate is quite small. Like, let's just imagine this was a ramp over here, then your carts have to be quite small. And in real life this might be the right fit for the right size for a cart, but in this game everything is bigger, so... Then we have this little rock formation over here, and now we can get access to the siege tower by jumping on this part. And this is quite interesting. So someone built the siege tower. It's not able to be pushed around. There are no wheels. So I don't even know how they transport it. Usually you push them against the walls and then you lower the bridge, but that isn't possible. Or maybe the wheels are just broken off, I don't know. I haven't seen any wheels. But this is quite the nice looking siege tower. There are multiple in the game that look like this as well. We have a ballista over here to fire down. And we have a lot of weaponry. Like generic weaponry. And then climbing up here we can lower this part of the roof to besiege something. And in this case we can jump down to this part, where it's also a trebuchet for some reason. Somehow they built it here. And then we can actually approach the castle. This is quite the nice route. I really like this one because it's not very likely that attackers are going this way, right? Let's just imagine an army climbing the rocks right underneath the towers and walls, so you can easily get attacked while climbing here. Not everyone, in real life you can't just jump up these rocks, you have to climb them up. Then this is quite the cheeky little trap over here, because if you're careless you're falling down to your death, because you can traverse all of this without the horse, but with Torrent it's much faster. Then here we have the cemetery of Castle Redmane, and a lot of bats, so I don't really like this area, just because there's one of these fuckers over here. Let's have a look at this harpy, I guess they're called. They're quite ugly, and I don't like their attacks. Oh, leg spike over there. Then we have a official way into the castle, which is currently just a shortcut. As you can see, it does not open, but I like that they have a official way getting down here to bury their dead. But then they have this weird wooden construction, which reminds me of something siege equipment, but it's not siege equipment. But this game tends to put wooden platforms outside of their walls, so I guess that's what this is. Just a random ass wooden platform for the player to climb in. No real reason to put this here for real life scenarios. Because then why do you have walls with... Why do you have stuff like this when you put a wooden platform outside? You can't even use the arrow slits then. But again, I've talked about this a lot of times now. This doesn't really make any sense. We have these crenellations here. I guess they make sense because usually crenellations are these high wall, low wall, high wall, low wall kind of things that you see on the wall over here. Basically on every single wall in this game. But this one isn't quite working because usually you want to have a high wall so your person is safe, and then a low wall so you can actually shoot at people. This is not low enough. I can't shoot over this tiny little gap here. So it tells me it's just there for show because it looks good, right? Because we have arrow slits, which are quite practical, right? You can shoot through them, and it's a very tiny window for attackers to shoot inside. So it's quite safe. And then we have these little holes down here, which are, in this case, probably not murder holes because they're not working properly. Murder holes are like holes, small holes like these on wall pieces or tower pieces. It's easy to look at this tower. Let's have a look at this tower. Usually in between these thingies over here, there is a small little hole that you can throw down rocks or shoot down or whatever. Pour hot stuff down, whatever. You can attack someone standing right beneath the tower. That's why they're called murder holes. Because usually when a castle has no murder holes and just a flat-ass wall with maybe crenellations, then you're quite safe underneath the wall or right at the wall. Because people are not like bending over to shoot directly down. That would be dangerous. So they designed murder holes to shoot directly down. But why wouldn't these work? Well, as you can see, you can't shoot down. You can only shoot horizontally. And the crenellations with the murder hole should be slightly slanted over, like depicted here. So you can actually have something in a gap here. What I assume they could do is just make this one a bit more slanted, that you can at least pour down hot water or stuff like this to deter the attackers. But from a level design standpoint, why does this exist? Why can't we just enter through this door down there? Why do we have to climb on top of the walls? Doesn't really sound right to me, having this nonsensical structure here. But okay, we are on the walls. There's a dude over here that we can ambush, because usually he doesn't see us. Same with this guy, we can ambush him, and then we can go along this walls, these walls over here, or we can jump down. And these walls actually have crenellations on both sides, so when the attacker is inside the castle, you can still shoot them safely from the wall itself. Going over here, we have some weird... I don't even know why this exists. I mean, why is there a rope with a bunch of weaponry on there? Just to show something? Because standing here and then all of a sudden you realize that something is falling on your head, right? Like, very unsafe. Maybe it's just for show because the castle got overrun or something like this because someone conquered it. Then we have this nice little staircase leading us to possibly a building with crenellations on them, which is quite efficient. And then we have a ladder over here that we can climb down, and we are now quote-unquote officially in Castle Redmane. And now I show you why I don't think that the structure above was actually a good idea, because we are now at the quote-unquote shortcut. So you can just basically just get rid of this part let this door be open so we can fight through here, and then if you want to explore, we can go up the walls and maybe get a nice little item over there. And I think this is now the only time I'm talking about this, but most towers, if not all towers in Castle Redmane, are stupid because you can't get into them. There is no indicator that you can actually get into these towers, towers itself, because usually there should be a door here, so soldiers can get into the tower, or on the other side of the wall. Like, why they're not just putting there a door that the player character can't go through is beyond my understanding. I would have just slapped on a door there, and then if I don't want the player to get into the tower, just make it so that you can't open the door. That's just aesthetics, right? He is a Redmane Knight, and the Redmane Knights are basically just the same knights as the other ones. These just have a fiery sword. The ones in Lanedale have lightning attacks, and just small little details like these. Okay, going down here, we have a few tents, soldiers camping here because, again, there are probably no barracks. This room, probably just a storage room, and a second gate. I don't know why it's lagging so hard right now. I have like frame drops. Don't know why this happens. Oh well. Then we can go in here, another storage room. Let's actually evaluate how big this one is. Because I feel like, yeah, there's a lot of wasted space. Because we can't get to the second story. It would be... I mean, you could just put another staircase here leading upwards. Let us explore a bit more of this castle, because this castle is quite small. It's quite small. It's nicely decorated though. Like with bookshelves here. Random ass weaponry on tables. Then there's this page. Or page. I don't know. These dudes with crossbow and rapier. Little rapier. No, it's a... What's that sword called? Let's see. I can't remember. Doesn't really matter. S-Stock, right. Oh no, now the stupid part begins, because... Again, lost space here, but... When we approach the courtyard itself, there are 2 line guardians. Like, really? 2 line guardians? Why? Why are there 2? And then we have the gate here, which we can't open, if I'm correctly. If I remember correct, you can't open this gate for some reason. And I wonder why, because if you've seen it, when we were on the other side where the troll just jumped down and died, we could actually see a visual blue line here where we had to climb off of Torrent, where Torrent isn't allowed anymore. But you can't even open the gate, so you can't get through here. But the courtyard is quite nice. I mean, it's in a bad shape, but it looks quite nice, right? You have a lot of open space, a stone road leading alongside it, and the rest is dirt. And then you have these a few trees in here. I don't know why there are windows. Oh man, I mean, same reason why we have chronolations on the inside, right? Attackers are in here. A lot of space here, which is nice. Having space for potential future extra buildings is quite good. And we have a lot of towers here. Let's have a look what's inside here. Because again, this looks really big. but it is just a small little room. Not even very deep. There are just a few barrels here and a few items that we can pick up or could have picked up. So just storage space. Sadly no second or even third floor to explore. No indicator of a trapdoor, so where you can put up a ladder. So lots of wasted space there, in my opinion. I wish you could explore this castle a bit more, because it's quite straightforward. We were on the walls there, just a tiny bit. Then we are in the courtyard, facing 2 lion guardians, and then I can get in here in this. I don't even know why this structure exists, to be honest. Looks like a sniper nest, or you can station troops, but quite dangerous. You could have just had troops on this wall over there, which would be fine. Now half of this wall is obstructed by this construct. A lot of dead bodies here being burned, probably, well, war related, war versus the Rot and Melania and shit like this. Again, leading up, having a staircase here leading up to the upper part over here. Sadly no ramp to push up carts, so you have to carry everything manually. Then we have a nice looking room, and this is what I mean, this house over here. It's an indicator that something is here. Blacked out windows, so you don't actually have to model everything inside, and it's blocked. So, but it's an indicator that there's something going on here, right? Something is going on here, and I appreciate this. Another part, I wonder why there are no chronolations over here, just a fence. But I actually appreciate that there are fences here, because in some other castles they don't care if someone falls down or not. So I really like this castle a lot. Another storage space, and let's have a look at how high this goes up. Because you could maybe put a second, maybe not. You could have made this room just a bit taller, and yeah, you can definitely put a second floor here. Wasted space again. Kinda disappointing. Going up here. And this looks quite nice, right? Because this is usually a shield. Just a reused asset, but it looks like you can actually plug this hole here with this part. And they reused as an asset, but you can totally put it here. Get rid of the ladder and put this to close the hole, which is nice. Then we have a matched pumpkin head over here with a rock on a stick. And nothing more. You can jump down here again. Why would you do this? Just to save time. And we have something that I don't like, right? Again, no access into the tower, but for some reason a structure to climb the tower from the outside. And on top of that, it looks like there were chronolations here, but they're just broken down, and for some reason they decided to put a ladder here now. And then we have a tower inside a tower, and these chronolations are way too low. Plus the arrow slits are way too low. Maybe these are fitted for, what are the small dudes called? The Vulgar Militia. This is a tower for Vulgar Militia, right? But again, you can't get into this part of the tower at all, which is just make this tower accessible, for fuck's sake. Make it so, model it inside, let me go up the ladder inside, and then make an indicator so that we can actually get into, or that you can indicate that you can actually get into this tower. Yeah, put some doors here again. Just so much wasted potential, but it's better than the other castles in my opinion. Now, this gauntlet is quite nice. Or nice, I mean, not really, it's pretty easy because we have flamethrowers here. Again, same thing that I talked about in the Redmane Castle part is how do they work? It's clearly not magical, but how do they work? Is it supposed to be magical? This is cruel. This is so cruel. Are they burning enemies, or are they burning their like Scarlet Rot guys? Because they're probably burning enemies, right? Because why would you torture your own man like this? Why would you do this? It's quite brutal. Inside here we have a nice little room with a set of grace, which we might need. And we're already almost through the castle itself. Just a bunch more flamethrower guys. The easiest way to deal with them is just take out a bow or a crossbow and shoot them in the head, so they are no longer occupying this flamethrower, and then you can just pass through. They're not very hard to kill. And oh man, how do you even get into the structure that I'm on top right now? And this is weird, right? They have a ramp leading up, but then there's an indicator here that this was all wall. Like, what? Just weird things. And a lot of pikes with... I don't really know if it, I guess, because what it looks to me like, these are probably the enemies, or like Radahn's enemies, this castle's enemies that are burning right here. But first of all, or maybe the castle has been occupied. This castle was owned by another faction and now they're burning them. But why would you burn troops inside of your castle and not outside of your castle? Because when you're burning them inside of your castle, you have all these dead corpses, burned corpses. Like, just imagine how this stinks. Like, have you ever burned a hair? Like, just imagine how a whole body full of hair would burn. Like, that shit stinks. Kinda sad that you can't get into the structure that I'm on right now, and no way to get onto this tower, which is actually pretty nice. You have a tower in the middle of the whole place here. So when enemies come into this part, and let's just imagine this is... I mean, you can station troops everywhere, right? And when the enemy comes and actually breaches the gate, then you can shoot them from this tower. So just wish they had a door here. And I wish they had a door on this side of this part, because it's hard to see. Because having a door down here would be a bit more risky, right? Because then the enemy can get directly into the tower. But if you have the entrance to the tower or to this key part on this side, they actually have to walk around it. Alright, then we have over here one of these interesting contraptions, Iron Virgins, as they're called, because and just a educated guess, because Iron Maiden is a band and they don't own the right to that name, so these are called Iron Virgin, but I keep calling them Iron Maiden because it sounds better, right? Volcano Manor construction, very interesting looking, a lot of snake imagery and noble imagery, because all of these fine little details there. Actually, the saw wouldn't work. Let's just imagine you could spin this via magic shit or stuff like this, but these saw blades would just ram into this solid part right here that the head is going through. Which is like the same thing for the weapon itself. because the Giza's wheel is actually the same thing as this one, just a bit smaller. And then on this side, this one has a retractable and extendable chain with a big-ass guillotine on there. And they are holding a child. Just fucked up imagery. Pretty cool looking though. Continuing this path, we have an entrance over here with, again, a storage room. I'm not looking at every storage room. Again, missing a second story here. Like, you could easily put right here another what's it called? Another story. Then I guess you could extend this one a bit. Yeah, would work. Again, no door. No door. Crenellations. Actually, there are missing crenellations. I wish there were crenellations over here, because then you had a better angle at the gate itself, at the entrance of the gate. Missing railing. This is a what's it called? Quite dangerous. Just imagine you're going here and then all of a sudden you fall down. And for the in-game characters, doesn't matter. Easy to pull off these jumps, but in real life, quite a bit more dangerous. And now we can actually see the beach over here. Ooh, nice view. It's pretty nice here, actually. And this is a bit silly. Again, no entrance here, but why does this sporadic bridge exist, and why don't they have a normal bridge like made out of stone? Because again, it looks like they have crenellations on both sides, but these crenellations are just broken down for some reason right now, and they've decided to put a bridge here. Just a random ass decision. And then I'm not repeating myself, you know, missing doors. Missing doors. Another weird ass bridge. Even this bridge, like, why isn't this? So this is really silly. Just, this is so silly. This is so stupid. Why? Putting a wooden bridge here, if you just could use this part here as a bridge. Why is it blinking down there? Just overlapping textures, I guess. Why not just punch a hole in here and make this like, put stairs there so that it's an official bridge? Because this is clearly not an official bridge here, right? Like, for fuck's sake, why? So you don't have to remake certain... so don't have to create new assets? Is this the reason why? I don't get it. I really don't get it. Then we have a nice little secret here, or not secret, but treasure, whatever it's in there. Another knight facing the chest, like, very greedily. A bunch of soldiers, like, nothing special. While the enemy placement is just soldiers, I really like this, because we have a Iron Maiden down there, we have 2 Lion Guardians here. I really like fighting humanoids, really. I really like this. And then I don't know if this is intentional or not, but... Nope. Like this, you can get to this position here by jumping. Like, it's no big deal, but I wish they would have put, like... it's so weird. Double walls. It feels just so disconnected, right? You have these little bits and pieces, but then there is no indicator you can actually get into them, which breaks my immersion. And this truly breaks my immersion. I mean, it's just sad that there are no indicators. Because the level is fine, I really like the level here. I like the level design. I like that you have these little, like, things that force you to play a bit differently. I mean, 2 Lion Guardians is a bit annoying. It's silly that you can't open the gate, and then the entry point is quite interesting and stupid. But I guess it's fine. It's fine. I actually like this part. I actually like that we have this very claustrophobic and hard to attack part of the castle itself. And here we have a boss fight inside. There are... this is not the real boss of Redmane Castle, but this is the boss that you can encounter before the Festival of Radahn begins and after you've actually killed Radahn. This boss fight exists, and it's a boss fight versus a... what are they called? Misbegotten. These big-ass Misbegotten, the boss version, and then a Crucible Knight who will come down after a certain amount of time. And you have to fight both. So... But they're not special, like, these are just the generic versions. You can actually parry both of them. Which is quite nice. It's a bit hard to actually parry these guys. Or a bit harder. But it's doable. Same with Crucible Knights. I really like the version with the sword because you can easily parry them. I don't even know, can you parry the two-handed attacks? I know you can easily parry the one-handed attacks. But yeah, just generic enemies. Let's get rid of him. Okay. It's getting dark already. Put the lantern on. And here we can get a legendary weapon. And don't be afraid, even if you've missed this part, because let's talk about... let me talk about Redmane Castle later a bit, because this is the way where you can, or this is the location where you have the Festival of Radahn later on. And it is called a festival for a reason. Lots of food here, lots of drinking. Just a bit a big party place, basically. And then we have the church part over here. At least it looks like a church, like a chapel over here. Again, you can drink here. Possibly the higher ups are up here. Then you have actually this wooden structure to talk to people with this nice red carpet thingy, banner, whatever. Is it banner or carpet? Is it banner? Banner carpet. You can talk to people, like the dude that is sitting there, like he's doing when the Festival of Radahn begins. Kind of a bit sad again, missing doors over there, missing door over here. Then we have this interesting place. I don't really know how this works, right? Because is this I mean, how this in-game event works, because these apparently collect star shards. At least star shards, when you are at these positions, like, for example, on the cliff here somewhere, there's one of these things and a bit smaller, and you can always collect star shards at these things, right? And I think it's supposed to be a what's it called? A clock, like a sun clock. Is it called sun clock in English? I don't know what it's called. But why do they make a big spectacle out of this? Like, are they watching the time go by? Like, oh, it's already this and this o'clock. Wow. I mean, they don't have television, but they're watching the sun. Just silly. Or the stars, whatever, I don't know. Then we have this nice little chapel here, which is a reused asset, nice. But again, like, it's so much bigger. Put an extra room in here, for fuck's sake. And I don't even know why this exists. This door is so... is bad. And then we have this dude over here who tells us, oh, the festival begins later on. And then we can actually... what I'm not showing right now, because... well, actually we can see it. Then we have one of these nonsensical elevators over there, which work in mysterious ways, going down there to the beach part. And I wish they had... and there's a teleporter to teleport you around the... like, let's see, can I show this from here? Can we see the teleporter? This small little thing there? Ah, there's the teleporter, which teleports you to the other side where you can fight Radahn. Again, elevators in these games are just terrible. Like, they have this pressure plate, and somehow the elevator goes down. Most of elevators make no sense, only the magical ones, because then you can say it's magic. But these are not magical, these are supposed to be a mechanism, which there isn't even a mechanism, you just go on a pressure plate and goes down and up. But this is Castle Redmane. And let's have a look at the map itself, because while you can't actually go on top of the walls and can't get into the towers itself, it has a lot of good things, right? You have towers all around this thing, like even tower inside, which is awesome. Like, the only thing that it's missing is a, what's it called, where like a thingy where ships go. Like a dock? Is that a word? Dock? Stuff like this. Like, where you can actually... You have so much ocean here, like, use the ocean for fuck's sake. To import stuff. Like, but this is... what's it called? Redmane Castle, right? Yeah. This was Redmane Castle. And now to the evaluation, or whatever. I think in terms of realism, this castle feels much more real or realistic than Stormveil Castle. Because we already had a look at Stormveil Castle, the first Legacy Dungeon, then Redmane Castle is the second Legacy Dungeon, and we had a lot... oh no, Redmane Castle is the third Legacy Dungeon, because we already did Raya Lucaria, which was the nonsensical part, which it's just... Raya Lucaria makes no sense, and it doesn't need to make sense, but Redmane Castle feels like it would make sense. Just put a few doors here, fix the wall parts, and it's a functioning castle, right? So, kudos to this. This is actually the best castle so far, the best and the best Legacy Dungeon, in my opinion. So, first of all, level design though. Level design. How would I describe the level design? Plus points for the quote-unquote enemy variety. We have a troll here with, of course, the soldier types and the knight classes. Then we have, what are they called? The lion guardians, or whatever, the lion gladiator thingies. We have a Mad Pumpkinhead and a Volcano Manor Iron Virgin thingy. Quite the variety compared to, like, Stormveil Castle. And a bit more enjoyable in my opinion than Raya Lucaria, but I don't like Pew Pew guys. So, for the enemy placements and such, I would give a, like, 7. because it's quite good. I'm not really a fan of the Lion Guardians, especially 2 Lion Guardians. 1 would be fine, but 2, it's like Castle Soul. But that's fine. Level design itself, or the level design of the level design, not the enemy placement, it's quite nice. You have to go outside, you have to find your ways to the cemetery part. Then sadly you have a very weird way to get into the castle, again via a ladder. I mean, just make the door accessible and then it's fine, and get rid of this ladder part, and then would be much nicer in my opinion. Level design is quite linear. You have like, you're going here, then you're going down here into the courtyard, you have a room here which leads to nothing. Then you have a little bit of climbing on this part of the wall, I think it was. Or this part, I don't know, something on the wall here. Then you can decide to go to the boss, or to the plaza, or on this part of the wall, climb across here, and it's quite a nice design. It's linear, not as diverse or as big as Castle Stormvale, but to be honest, Castle Stormvale is like, it's the first legacy dungeon that most people will encounter, and it's like their flagship legacy dungeon, I must say, because like, it needs to be grandiose. But this is a down-to-earth legacy dungeon which has quite a lot of realism, in my opinion at least. A few stupid things, but it's nice, and the level design itself is good. I would give it also a 7, I guess. So a 7 in total for level design and world design. It's also pretty high because the castle makes sense, the structure itself makes sense. It's just the same problem as every castle has, with missing doors, for some reason walkways outside or on the side of towers, like. But it's not bad. I would also give it a 7 or an 8. Like, maybe I'm getting soft, but it's quite nice from a world design perspective. Again, easy to defend from actually attackers, but it's probably pretty hard to survive if they're just besieging your castle. But I actually need to make a list, like, I need to make a list how I've rated them and then look at the rating itself, because I can't remember how I rated Stormvale Castle. Let's have a look at the imagery. Again, we have quite a lot of death here, burning corpses. It's quite fitting with the red sky in the daytime. Why the fuck is the sky red? I don't care. Quite a lot of red imagery, death, decay, rot, but it fits to this whole place. So 7 and 7 I would give it. Let me know how you would rate it, and that's it from me. Goodbye.